Oh, right. Boom. All right, we are live.
Sorry about that, everyone. We were having some real technical difficulties there. It was pretty
No,
ugly.
it was great. It was like a T-Pain concert. Apparently, for all who weren't, obviously you guys didn't have a chance to be around the last 5 minutes. Somehow, B found a way to incorporate some auto tune into his microphone. It was great.
So I was bringing back my early 2000s T-Pain,
Yeah,
singing,
yeah.
singing. I'm a
But
stripper.
he was
Let others do it, man.
bartender. He went through the whole thing. It was great. So we had like a little side concert. So now that that's over, now we can get into some sports. So thank you everybody for taking the time to chime in, and hopefully you waited around. Again, just kind of quickly in the beginning, if you don't like us, turn the channel, please. If you do, please hit the subscribe button or like button. We appreciate it. So we fun week as far as basketball goes. A lot of great games. A lot of young dudes stepping up, making stuff happen. We'll start with the Bay Area team. I see you got the jersey on, so we're gonna start with the Golden State Warriors, who
We're sweet today, bro.
yeah, well, y'all tried. You guys were one Aaron Law pass away.
We'll talk about that play call later. But I give the Warriors just fell down too deep. It took them three and a half quarters to cut that lead into single digits. When they got close every single time, it was like 10 to 11 points, and they couldn't recover. But the slow start would just hit them hard today.
Yeah.
The early foul trouble too. Clay had 4 fouls before halftime. That just can't happen. And Jordan Poole finally came to earth. He had a Jordan Poole game today. That's it. You're gonna see it from the best players. They're not gonna have the greatest shooting days, but Jordan Poole really had a bad day in the field today. He did get to the bucket a few times, but when you see the effort it took from Denver to win this game, they had Morris was damn near perfect from the 3-point line today.
Well, I mean,
Joker had to get to 40 just to even stand a chance against them. And the Warriors didn't play their best today. I really don't think.
I mean, but bottom line is, this was a need to win or must win game, literally, not figuratively speaking, for the Nuggets, and they played like it. I mean, it was a pride game for them. Yeah. They were at home. They did not want to get swept. Obviously, they spent a whole season dealing with injury problems, and this was just a pride moment where they just needed to show up. Now, that doesn't mean the Warriors couldn't have won, because the Warriors had ample opportunity to win this game, and they really, down the stretch, there were some huge shots by Steph Curry to get them back in the game, and then even take the lead at one point. And I mean, Jokic, I think, had a couple of big buckets in the paint, and there was the one play at the end where I don't know what Steve Kerr called, but the idea was to get the ball to a bigger Wiggins over Austin Rivers, and I think the execution of that play wasn't what they anticipated being. And then the pass from, I believe was it Iguodala, if I'm right on. No, it wasn't Iguodala. It was it Otto Porter?
It was
Lionel Richie.
Yeah, it was
Otto Porter Jr. Yes.
That ball never reached an arc, dude. It was like a line drive pass to Andrew Wiggins. I mean, in hindsight, with Joker out of the middle, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It was a terrible pass on his end, but I think what boiled it down is, as you said, Denver played for their lives, and it's not like they weren't just this season or this playoff series. It's just the one thing that happened today that didn't happen in the first 3 games. Guys were hitting open shots. You didn't see that happen coming out of Denver for the first 3 games here. But they got hot from the 3-point line.
Yeah.
And that's what kept the Warriors so distant for 3.5 quarters. Was because when the Warriors got to 11, when they got it down to 10, it got back up to 14, it got back up to 13. And so they traded shot for shot with Warriors here. But honestly, it still wasn't. It took a lot for the Nuggets to really get that game. So I mean, hats off to them. That's their final home game that they're playing. And then you're asking Denver to win 3 more games. 2 at the Chase Center. So the series ends in 5. But hats off for Denver for even wanting to make it a series. Thank God. Now we get one more game at home.
Yep. And so I think for the Warriors, I mean, obviously that game on Wednesday, they really blew the Nuggets out of the water, and they were just knocking down shots. And really, the first three games, they really looked like they were on fire. And I think this is just a case of, they weren't able to sustain that pace necessarily for the entire series. But overall, I think we both know that this series is over. And what and I really think that bottom line is, it's just the Nuggets played hard enough to keep from getting swept, but that doesn't mean they won the series. They have nothing to kind of tip their hats on there. And Brian, give me 1 second. I'm gonna let you riff for a minute, but I think I figured out why there was an echo. Okay, so give me 1 quick second, okay?
No problem.
Because I think we're experiencing an echo here. So give me one quick moment.
We're still having technical difficulties, but hey, while we get this figured out, happy birthday to my sister. She's turning 34 years old. Took her axe throwing today. Thank God she's got a day job. She could not get the board for the life of her. So happy birthday to her. Mom made some amazing sliders here today. So thank you, Mom, for all that, and everyone who helped celebrate my sister's birthday today. Shout out to that. You're getting old. It's terrible.
All right. All right. Hello.
Bro, it was your headset that was.
It was completely my fault. It's completely my fault, man.
Sorry, America.
It's okay.
Give us a break. Start 6.
It's I'm old. I didn't have my headphones on, and my son stole them, so I had to go in there and get my headphones back.
Ass whooping.
No, I try not to hit my kids, but
well, my parents said.
Yeah, try. Keywords try. All right. Well, now that we've started off on an interesting foot here, we talked about the Warriors and what it really, like as I just said, this series is over. I want to jump in to the other big matchup, which I think has been just a fun series to watch, even though the Celtics are up 3-0. And that's because of the amount of interest and expectation that the Brooklyn Nets have garnered over this season. So getting into this game, I gotta be honest with you, man. I'm watching a team that has all the talent in the world. Kyrie and KD are great, but it almost looks like they are matched, if not almost overmatched, by what Jaylen Brown and Tatum are doing. So a little bit of change of the guard, it feels like. What did you see, man?
100. I see a Nets team that just deflated and we talked 2 weeks. When we first started this, we talked about KD's legacy and how much this meant for him to have his team. He is driving this bus, and this bus ain't going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, it may have been somewhere with James Harden on here, but obviously there was a direction where James Harden did not want to be a part of this team. And now they're in the postseason here. I mean, granted, there were injuries, and they barely squeaked in to get in, but you got 2 of the top 5 players in this league on one team.
Right.
And they're not going anywhere. Right. Kyrie really hasn't shown up all series. And this is taking nothing away from the Celtics because they are playing some amazing basketball right now. But there's so much drama and just no focus on basketball from the Nets. And this is where things got better today. Ben Simmons is supposed to play tomorrow night, and now his back hurts, and now he's not playing. There was all this talk about Ben Simmons playing in the Game 4 to help save the team, and now he's not.
I said
playing.
He wasn't coming back, man. Come on.
I like him.
I said he wasn't coming back. He's not coming back. Ben Simmons is not. He hasn't played a game of basketball in a year and a half. He's not going to play. I mean, literally, he didn't play at all this season, even through the trade. The last time we saw him was in last year's playoffs, which was, so basically he hasn't played in a year. We don't know what shape he's in.
Yeah.
We haven't seen him play on his previous team with the teammates he's used to. let alone play with a brand new team with players he's never ever played with. The idea of him playing basketball at this point in the season is laughable. So it's just not feasible. It's not going to happen. And piggyback on what you said, man, you talked about defense and kind of watching them melt down a little bit. A lot of that has to do with how much pressure they put on Kevin Durant. I mean, the guy is not able to touch the ball cleanly in any circumstance. They've done a great job of knowing where he's going to be and pressuring the ball, not the player, the ball. Any entry pass that they've tried to get in, they've been really good about getting hands on the ball, sending a second defender on the baseline if he turns and goes baseline, and just forcing him to take bad shots or to force the ball out of his hands to someone else. It's really just been a really good defensive show, and Kevin Durant has not had a good series at all.
Nope. From the start, he hasn't really put his name on this series here, and I think it's just going to be too late for it. I mean, Boston has been playing good basketball, but they have turned it up a different notch in this series here. But I think they take it personal here, and the fact that no one's talking about it because all the attention is towards Brooklyn, it just sounds it's just making it even worse for them because now you have Ben Simmons drama that didn't need to be there. The guy doesn't want to step on the court. There's no scenes of him, at practice at all, putting in the work to want to come to get on the court. You don't see any of that from him. You don't hear about it. So why even try to fake the funk? Just don't play. Don't sit there and give high hopes to a fan base, to two players who need help, and then not bring the help.
Yeah.
Because it's simple. Boston is shutting down Kyrie and KD. They have no one else to go to.
Right.
Seth Curry is not giving you 30 points a game. Andre Drummond is not giving you 15 a game. You're asking two players to score over 100 points combined between those two. It's not going to happen. That roster is just depleted, and the series is over. What we thought was going to be a 7-game series is now going to end tomorrow night.
Yeah, I completely thought that was the case. I picked the Celtics to win in 7, and it's really looking like it's going to be over in 5 at the most. I think this is going to be a fun series to watch, only because we're watching the great fall at this point. And now you're going to see, as we go through this, more and more sports talk folks and analysts, they're going to start jumping on the Celtics as a team. They've been the best team since the All-Star break. They've had they've turned their defense up. They've had the best record. So this shouldn't come as a surprise at how well that they're playing. I just think that folks really didn't take the time to watch the Celtics play over the past 3 to 4 months. And so they're just coming with the same intensity they have for the second portion of the season. And so I think it's them in the Heat or them in Milwaukee possibly in the conference finals. I hate to say it, but as a Lakers fan, but they have a great chance to play in the finals this year.
That irks the shit out of me.
Sad.
I was telling people earlier today, KD was texting Steph Curry saying that he misses him, how he misses wide open shots. He hasn't seen a wide open shot all series, all this other shit. But while we talk about it, let's transition to a really good series that's taking place. Is picking up tomorrow night, I hope. Minnesota and Memphis is turning into a street fight, and I'm loving this series. It is physical.
Very. Very.
Yes.
I've enjoyed this entire series. I did not think that it would be this close, but we talked about last time about how when you kind of take a step back and don't look at how they're seeded, they really are just two young teams trying to figure it out. And so I think that's what we're seeing. We're seeing two young teams that are trying to figure it out. Minnesota has really come in and shown no fear. And on vice versa, on the other end with Memphis has really maybe struggled a little bit with being the top seed. I think this is a situation where they can't pretend to be the underdog anymore. They can't pretend to be the tough and rugged team. Minnesota's been playing that way too, with guys like Patrick Beverley, who's trying to get under people's skin, and with Carl Anthony Towns, who's at the free throw line tweaking and stuff because he's so amped up. The dude, I don't know what that was about. That was weird as hell. But he was just trying to show how intense he was within the game. And yeah, I mean, Ja's been forcing it a lot, man. He's been really trying to force the issue, and it hasn't looked good just because Minnesota knows he's coming and they're jumping with their hands straight up in the air, and they're making it difficult for Ja to operate in the paint. So yeah, man, this is a barn burner, as they would say.
I think that gives credit to Minnesota's approach to the defensive side because they have not let Ja Morant get into. Like I said, since game one, he has not gotten into the air and given what we've seen all regular season, which is just. And they're putting his ass on the ground every single time he wants to get in the air. And it reminds me of what the Pistons did to Michael Jordan before Michael Jordan beat the Pistons. I'm not comparing Ja Morant to Michael Jordan, but the way they are approaching Ja Morant is the same way that the Pistons approach Jordan. Don't let him get in the air. And that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
The thing is you're getting different contributors every single night. Desmond Bane had an amazing game last night. And almost got that win for Memphis. Anthony Edwards is playing he's at a steady pace now. He had his big breakout, but I think it's steady. But up and down the court, you're getting different contributions from guys every single night on both sides of the roster. So I would love to see this series go 7 because it is physical. I'm enjoying the refs letting these guys figure it out without really stepping in too much with making calls. They're making good calls, but they're not slowing the game down. Let the tempo go. Let these players decide it. And man, it has just been a fun series. This is what the Nets and Celtics were supposed to be.
Yeah.
And we're getting it from two young teams, which is very enjoyable. Yeah. But I think Memphis is starting to feel the pressure of that 2 seed there.
Yeah,
they
definitely are, and you can look no further than the last 5 minutes of the last game that they had. They were within earshot. They had an opportunity to tie or take the lead, and they just could not find a way to put the ball in the hole. They ended up settling for some 3-point shots, and you really saw the youth of Ja Morant, who, when faced with that situation, wasn't really capable of creating a shot for himself. And generally, when you're the star on the team, and we're talking about the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter, even with the you took at the Warriors game, look at what Steph did, knocking down a few threes, hitting big shots to get them in the game. Ja had that same opportunity to take the lead and really put some pressure on Minnesota, and he just wasn't able to do it. And even at the end of the game, when he drove all the way up the floor with 10 seconds left, he jumped up in the air to shoot the ball, and then at the last minute made a pass to the left. And what that showed me is he's really kind of unsure of his decision making is not on point. He's not sure what to do, and that's
gonna come with
right. It will. But if you don't win this series, that's a different experience altogether. So those guys have to find a way first to play better earlier, and not let Minnesota jump on them in the first half of the game. But then also they as a young team, they have to find a way to close out games. Closing out playoff games is the most difficult thing to do. Closing out a playoff team is an extremely difficult thing to do. And so this is what was an underdog team playing as a top seed, trying to figure out how to do that. And so I think that's what we're seeing. We're seeing them kind of struggle getting it done.
Then when the time comes is, you mentioned how hard it is to even win a playoff game. Try winning a playoff game that ends the series.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we're not saying that Ja Morant is a bad player. He's a very good player. But you're watching a guy grow right now. These are growing pains. The greats go through them when they start off in a playoff series. These things will happen to him. It's about how he learns and and being the team leader he is, he's got to step up. When the time comes, the only shot that matters is his shot. He's got to take that last shot. He's got to take that go-ahead shot. And we're not saying that he's not. It's just you're seeing the growing process between where the elite players are, where he is trying to get to, where a very good player is at. And right now he's at a very good player caliber. He's learning how to become an elite player as he gets into these playoff series. That's all we're saying here. I acknowledge Morant. He's a dangerous player. But when it comes down to it, he does not know how to close out a series and close out a game. He is learning that right now. So let the man learn while we while we
Right,
roast him for it.
exactly. Yeah,
So
you gonna get the business. It doesn't matter. I mean, this is what guys got to figure out, and you get all the praise and the love whenever things go your way. Hey, you're gonna take the blame as the best player on the team when things don't go well. And I think the next best series, which is tied at 2-2, and I think this is the only other series outside of the Memphis series that's tied up, is Dallas and Utah. So these two teams have been going back and forth without Luka, and I actually kind of like that. Luka came back and they had an opportunity to go up 3-1, but the Jazz were not going to let that happen. I really like this series. I think this one does have the potential, just like Memphis and Minnesota, to go the full 7 games. Brunson is, playing out of his mind.
holy
Who is this?
shit,
Who is this guy? So Luca Jr. is in the building, and he's been really handling business, at least in those first 2 games. Having Luca back, I think, will help them. They're gonna go back to Dallas, and I think they're going to go up 3-2, and ultimately I think Dallas will win the series. I don't like Utah. They've been fairly inconsistent. And really, I've never liked them, honestly, all season. I don't like the style of, I don't like their temperament. I think that I don't like Gobert. I think he's an offensive liability, and for against a team like Dallas, I think you'll see Luka expose that at home when they go back to Dallas. Having him they can't have him on the floor for too long. He can't really make free throws that well, and I don't like the matchup. So I think Dallas takes this series in 6 games.
They did a good job surviving the first 4 games, or even the first 3 games without
Right.
Luka, and winning one in Utah
Yeah.
really helped with that
Yeah.
there. And now having Luka back, obviously he's got to get his legs underneath him. He did have a really bad injury here, but I think it saves him. Utah just doesn't flash me if there was one team that I'd rather not have in the playoffs and just be an automatic win series is Utah. I don't even know why. Someone just commented maybe Morant should eat more spinach. Just saying.
Yeah. Well, he drinks Red Bull. Not he doesn't need spinach.
Yeah.
He's not growing out. He's jumping up. So yeah, he's.
I think Dallas is going to end up winning this series here. The fact that they're going back to Dallas tied 2-2, with their main star back, and you have a rising star developing. It's going to help create momentum here. They'll win the series, but I just don't think they're getting any further. Who the next matchup could be, which is turning out to be a Suns nightmare because
man, injury.
Kevin Booker now. Holy shit.
So that game was really crazy. Booker goes down, and the Pelicans engineer quite the game. And it was a close game throughout throughout the fourth quarter, and they got it done. Now we also have to move on to the last game they played, which was CP3 in the fourth quarter, killing cats. CP3 was out there, and I don't even like Chris Paul that much. He was out there destroying the Pelicans in the fourth quarter of that game, and was responsible for, I want to say, maybe the last 10 or 12 points. He was on fire. So kudos to him for getting it done when he knew he had to, because how many more opportunities is he really realistically going to have in the playoffs? He's an old man. And shame on the Pelicans for letting him get to the same spot on the floor like 10 times in a row. He's
shame on them for that. You can't really stop a player from getting to his favorite
that's true.
spot. But what you have to give credit to what the Pelicans are doing is they are finding ways to stay in this game. I think with CJ McCollum in this new spotlight, not underneath Damian Lillard, he is shining right now. But the biggest star on the Pelicans right now, Brandon Ingram. That boy is playing.
Love him.
He is.
That's my guy.
But when you see it, their supporting cast right now, honestly, is really playing good too.
Yeah.
Valanciunas is having a really decent series against Aiden here. And we all know Aiden's a beast. He's going to get his. But he's maintaining that. But you're getting contributions from Larry Nance Jr. off the bench. And keeping the game intact. That's the thing with the Pelicans, is they're not allowing the game to get out of hand. They are keeping the game within close, which is giving them a fighting chance. Right now, they're up 73-68, and tonight will be a turning night in the series. You're not getting Devin Booker back for the rest of the series. Right. So now you need a scorer. Cameron Payne is now going to need to step up as that secondary scorer for the Suns. But the Suns' season may end to the Pelicans.
Yeah. I think you talked about Ayton, and my issue with Ayton is he's one of those guys that has all the talent in the world, and as a guy at his size, and the issue has been is you have Chris Paul and Devin Booker who are majority of the scoring for this team. This is when you need a guy like him to really step his game up. I think he's a guy that's really going to have to push himself forward and be a little bit more aggressive with some of his offensive play. I know he's used to not having to do that because he has those two guards playing with him. But in this specific scenario, if they're going to come out of this series on top, Aiden's going to have to be a 25, 26, 27 night guy. And I know he hasn't really done that majority of the season, but this is one of those special circumstances where you're really going to look for him to step his game up. And he has the talent to do it. He's just going to have to be a little bit more aggressive with Devin Booker not being in this series.
Yeah.
Good.
So we would love to talk about these other two series, but they're fucking over.
Oh, we got. I mean, who else is there? Let's see. We got Milwaukee. I mean,
Jesus Christ, they blew them out twice by more than 20 points. I mean, it's over.
Yeah, it's over.
But Milwaukee suffered an injury too. Chris Middleton hurt himself.
Oh, that's right.
And that's big.
Yeah.
But they got that championship mentality, so you never take it away from them. Miami is just...
It's over.
Miami's being Miami right now. Atlanta is showing that, hey, look, we won the play-in tournament. Amazing.
Right.
We got our teammates in the locker room. Thanks for having us in the postseason. We'll take this L the other tomorrow night and call it a day.
Yeah, that series is over again. That was another pride game, for Atlanta. I don't think this series goes any further. I think it goes back to Miami, and Miami finishes it out, and they can move forward and play the Philadelphia 76ers, which should be a good old time, grand old time.
That's another series that's over. Joel Embiid's got a torn ligament in his thumb.
I don't think that's going to keep him. I don't know if that'll necessarily keep him from playing. We'll see.
No, it's not.
No, it's the same finger he uses to grip hamburgers, cheeseburgers on the side.
sitting on the stretching table on the court.
Yeah, he should have never did that. He can't leak. That doesn't go away. No. It lives forever in infamy. I guess we'll kind of transition into. Well, let's touch on, while we're still in the NBA. We'll just touch on we kind of touched on this about Kevin Durant and his legacy. So I'll hit on this real quick. So B, you had some problem with KD talking about how his time with the Warriors and not being appreciated and all that kind of stuff. And we talked about this. I really want to point this out. We talked about this 2 weeks ago. I know now everyone wants to talk about Tatum being better than KD and how we're watching his legacy fade away. But I want to let everybody know we had this conversation quite some time ago. And one of the things we talked about was the new and up and coming talent and how that changes a person's or a player's legacy. Because they only have so many years to play in the league, and if you wait around too long and you let these other guys get into the mix, you might not get that opportunity again. So, B, how you feeling about that conversation about what KD said now that he's down 3-0?
He's texting Stephen Curry telling him I miss you, bro. Much. I miss what we had in Golden State. It shows you how good his time was in Golden State. Yeah. And I'm telling you, Brooklyn's a different beast, and he needed that.
Yeah.
If he would have stayed, we're not having this conversation. His time at Golden State put him up here, right?
Right.
And when he was at the Thunder, he was on his way up there. He still takes heat for going to the Warriors, but honestly, you do what you got to do to solidify your legacy. So he did that, and he walked away with back-to-back titles. You can't fault the man for that.
Yeah.
But he let his ego get the best of him, said, I want to drive the bus, and now the bus is being driven, and the wheels are about to fucking come off.
Oh, he's getting hit by the bus. Yeah, he's getting run over.
The same bus that he's driving
now.
I
mean, B, you see your boy turning, not your boy, but you see KD turning the ball over. We never see that. Aaron passes, losing his dribble. I saw he dribbled the ball right off his leg on a crossover in the last game. I mean,
doesn't engaged, man.
Yeah, it's like they beating him like his mama, and he's just looking over his shoulder he's
Jason Tatum's taking his ass to town right now. I mean, we can talk about that all we want, but the bottom line is he's got to win that title to Brooklyn. He needs to bring it to them. No matter who's with that team, you want to be considered the greatest. All the great ones take their team to championships. So now you need to do that on your own.
Right.
You were doing it in Golden State, but all that attention wasn't around you. It was already around the guys that were there.
Yeah, exactly.
And now the attention's on you, and you're running. It's not like you're running from the spotlight, but you're getting beat. And that's that young talent that's coming up here. So, I'm happy.
Yeah.
You're actually going to stay in Golden State.
Yeah.
You made the choice.
Yeah, I personally think it's only natural what we're seeing. And I'm all about this. Look, if you're a player in your prime, you only get a certain amount of time to stay there, and once that goes away, then other guys are going to step in, other guys are going to step up and start making plays. If you look around the league, you look at the finals last year, we had a young DeAndre Ayton and a young Devin Booker. You had a young, or at least prime, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and those are the stars of the show. Now, Chris Paul's still in there. He old as dirt, but he has some youthful help. And so if you look at the East, Tatum is good. Jaylen Brown is good. Didn't think guys that were of similar size and play similar positions could play together as well as they do, but they figured it out. And add to that, those guys are committed to the defensive end more so than most of the teams that are remaining in the league. I would say the Bucks, Memphis traditionally is a really good defensive team, but I don't know. They're kind of struggling with Karl Anthony Towns right now. But these teams, they're very good defensively, and those other teams we're talking about, Brooklyn's defense ain't that great, man. Brooklyn's defense is not that great of a team, and so or good of a defense. So time might be passing on your boy, man, and when he come back next year, somebody else will be holding up that championship trophy. It will not be him. So you only got so many more years. Same thing with my Lakers and LeBron. You only got so many more years before Father Time knocks on the door and says, yeah, you all right, but this boy here, this boy better.
We could talk about this later, but we'll entertain the thought about LeBron talking about Steph Curry. We'll talk about that later.
Oh, for what? For what? You really think you're gonna trade for LeBron, huh? Yeah, you really think that's gonna happen, don't you?
Like this, Curry doesn't have to do much. LeBron's talking about coming to play with Curry. Curry said, I'm good, but LeBron gets what he wants, and we've all seen that happen. So we can say that.
I want Klay Thompson, and I want Klay Thompson, and I want Jordan Poole. I want both of them. Y'all can have Bron. I want Poole and Klay. Y'all can have Bron.
You can have Moody. You can have.
Man, don't be trying to give me no Snickle Fritz. I don't want.
God, you got to be kidding.
Come on, man.
That is a fair off trade there.
LeBron James, he almost won the scoring title, and you want to give me Moody? I don't even. Come on, man. Come on.
You need a repeat, right? The Lakers ain't winning championships.
That's what Jordan Poole. Okay, I need him in my life. Okay.
No.
Hey,
no, he good. He said he wants to stay at Golden State. We're good.
Matter of fact, take Russell Westbrook in a bag of chips while you're at it.
Okay. International League. You've drawn the line there, sir.
Oh man, well.
But in any case, let's talk about players entering their prime here, and then we're going to transition to the NFL here. Another Bay Area team made the news today, and obviously the NFL found a way to dominate the NBA playoffs once again.
I don't know about dominate, but go ahead.
Bo Samuel sends out a message. I want to be traded, and this is a intriguing conversation to say the least here. So let me get your standpoint on this here. And for those who don't know, it's coming down to money. This is plain and simple. And I'll let you go first on this.
Oh,
I have a take on this, but what do you feel
it's
about?
simple for me. Pay the man. I mean,
Yeah,
it's simple for me. Pay the man. I mean, in NFL, I know there's you've got obviously have the cap that you're working with, but I mean, I think the 49ers are overestimating their playoff run last year, and I think that they have less than they think they have. I think the defense played incredibly well. You went out
don't
there.
say
What's that?
don't say your
Oh, my
defense.
bad. I'm sorry.
I'm not
The
conversation.
49er defense, excuse me. The 49er defense played Ravens fan over there. Okay. Well, the defense for the 49ers played incredibly well. They went in, they punched your boy Aaron Rodgers in the face. But I think they're overestimating that, and in my opinion, offensively they are limited. Now they have a great coach that creates schemes for them to create most of their offense on the ground, and they didn't upgrade their quarterback. Although there was a lot of talk about that, about making a change. They didn't make any trades. They didn't go after Deshaun Watson, or I think they were in the mix for Deshaun Watson, but weren't able to pull the trigger on that. And Deebo Samuel's was doing catching, running. I mean, the man was doing it all. And you let guys like Tyreek Hill just got traded, and you talked about this. And I'll actually let you talk more about this. Tyreek Hill got traded, and then got a nice big chunky contract from Miami. So tell me, because we talked about this before, how does that play into this? They didn't pay him. Tyreek Hill then gets traded and gets paid. Now all of a sudden Deebo Samuel's like, hey, wait a minute, I'm out of here. I'm gonna let you speak on that a little bit more.
I mean, look at what Tyreek Hill brings to the table. He's just a deep ball threat
Yeah.
and a guy who's rarely fast. Deebo Samuel is being used in the backfield.
Right. I mean,
and he's being used as a wide receiver, and it's shortening his career. When you and I watched a lot of the Niner games here, and when you watch it, he's getting a punishment from the backfield. There were times where he had to pull his ass off the turf
yeah.
because he couldn't get up, but then he's in there the next play. So he's looking at it like this, going, I do twice the workload, and that doesn't even include returning kickoffs.
Right.
The man plays 3 different positions for them, and then they're not wanted. They're not. The Niners aren't willing to keep this guy automatically. If they were sold on him as much as they were, they're going to go out and spend the money on him.
Right.
And now, granted, the Niners have a difficult decision because they got to pay Boza as well.
Right.
Those two came as a package in the draft.
Yeah.
So who do you give this money to? It's clear the Niners aren't making that push for Deebo.
Right. Yeah.
And in his mind, he does not. If you're going to make him go through that extra punishment, you better pay him. And there was a great discussion about that earlier today as well. There's a lot of quarterbacks who are making easy money. But when you look at it, the wide receivers also have a hand in this as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, if he wants to get paid, he wants to get paid. But can you fault the man? That's for me. Can you fault the guy for wanting what he wants, for what he does and what he brings to the team? When you look at the game, the wild card game against Dallas, that the touchdown against Dallas, it pushed the Niners ahead in that game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He didn't have a big stamp against Green Bay, but he had a big kickoff return that helped set up, if I remember, a field goal for the Niners to start off the second half.
Yeah.
And then obviously he had his hand all over the NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
So when you look at it, that dynamic that he brings, yes, pay him what he is asking for. If he's that important to you,
yeah.
If you want to negotiate a contract, negotiate. But at this time, he's realizing the value that he is worth, and he earned that. He is earning what he is making right now, and he is just entering his prime as a wide receiver. And that's what he came into the league, is as a wide receiver. So if the Niners have these running backs that they have, why aren't they using them to take all that pressure off of Deebo to make him the primary wide receiver?
Right.
He's not the number one for the Niners right now because he's coming out of the backfield most of the time.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's just it. He's earned the right to say, I want this. If the Niners are going to give that to him, he is demanding a trade. Go somewhere where it's wanted. And here's where the best place is going to go to, in my eyes. And I believe a lot of people are talking about it as well. The Niners want collateral for this pick. Go to New York. The Jets have, I think, 2 or 3 first-round draft picks. They got.
Well, they suck. So yeah, I mean.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So if the Niners were smart,
yeah.
Hey, keep him out of the NFC, because if you're going to be playing him, you know what he's going to do to you.
Oh yeah.
Keep him, send him to the AFC, and then the Jets have a head coach that used to be with Debo.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't know that.
And they have Zach Wilson, who is an up and coming quarterback who needs a number 1.
Yeah.
So I think New York, like a lot of people say, is going to be the best fit for him, but I think that market is going to be very high for Debo, and rightfully so. He's earned a high market value for his play here. But let's talk about your boy.
Oh yeah, so
extension, David Carr.
So speaking of millions and speaking of getting paid, I mean David Carr. Lord, gee, David Carr. Why did I say that? David Carr. Do you remember David Carr?
I think his ass is still laying on the field.
Houston, Texas.
Sorry, it's still within the.
No, that's on me. That's on me. So
that's why we couldn't.
That's on me. So Derek Carr got an extension this year. Multi-year extension. First off, I think it's well received if you're a Raider fan, because a lot has been said about Derek Carr over the past couple years of what he couldn't do. First he couldn't get the deep ball, and there was a lot of questions about his decision making. But a lot of people have to understand they didn't really have a lot of go-to receivers over the past few years. They really haven't. At all.
They got it
now. They do. And Derek Carr had been throwing to tight ends like no tomorrow, and for good reason in my opinion, because again, we did not have a solid number 1. I think Winfro, who was a slot receiver, played way out of his skin and was a great player at the wide receiver position this past year. And you're gonna add Devontae Adams to that, who was with Derek before in college, at Fresno State. And I think that those two, along with Winfro, I think this is gonna be a special team. I'm so glad that I can't even think of his name. What's wrong with me? Chucky is gone. I'm so glad that John Gruden is gone, and that we can start transitioning into a more, hopefully, pro-style offense, and no more of the old days of trying to run the ball 50 times and throw one deep ball and all this garbage. I don't like John Gruden. I didn't like the fact that he came back on a 10-year contract. I thought it was stupid. No coach should be coaching for 10 years. Seriously?
No,
I mean, come on.
Sticking around for 10 years.
That's so dumb. And so I'm glad he's gone. I don't know how I feel about the new coach, because expatriate coaches they tend to be pretty bad. So we'll just have to see how McDaniels does. But I do like this move. I think that Derek Carr deserves it, man. He's a good quarterback. He's a stand-up dude all the way around. Even though he's got the black eyeliner on, I know it's a little weird, but he's that black eyeliner. I don't know what that's about, but he's a really good quarterback, and he's tough as nails and has proven himself, in my opinion, as a Pro Bowl quarterback. So kudos to him, man. I think the Raiders are going to have a good season. Russell Wilson will be in our path with Denver, but other than that, I think we got a realistic shot at getting back to the playoffs again next year and making some noise. So we'll see.
Shout out to Zito here. Thanks for all the comments, Zito here. If I'm pronouncing it right here. He mentions the Niners tradition has always been to reward those that put themselves 100% for the team. And you got to remember, Eddie DeBartolo was writing those checks, and he gave 2 shits less because he was spending money to keep Super Bowls here. That's what it's boiling down to right now. Yeah. Is that they're in a position to win a Super Bowl. Now, whether that's with Jimmy Garoppolo or not, but they have the players that can get them there. Are they a quarterback away? Is it Jimmy G? That's for another discussion. But right now, it is Deebo Samuel. Are you going to pay this guy? You've already had one defensive player walk away in DeForest Buckner, who ended up in Indianapolis. Are you ready to see Nick Bosa walk away? Or are you ready to just say, fuck it, let's go negative, let's bankrupt the team, let's spend the money so we can win a championship? Because all is forgotten when you're holding a trophy. And that's the end of it there.
Right.
That's the discussion there. Are you willing to give this man what he wants?
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Yeah, and it's just like on the Raiders end, that's why it's kudos to them for paying Max Crosby, is because the guy was there, the guy worked hard, the guy got results, and they didn't wait around for another opportunity to sign him or have him go out and test the free agent market. You got a guy in house that you've drafted that has shown up for you, that's been there. Go ahead and pay him, and I think that's what the Niners dealing with now is Samuels knows on the open market he can make a lot more money, man. So he's definitely he's going to get paid.
Do you think we see a trade for Debo before the draft? It's got to happen before the draft. If the Niners want draft picks included in that, it's got to happen before it. If they want draft picks now, but does it come now? Does it come later? You know what you're getting in this round's draft. I honestly don't even know who's coming out of this NFL draft to be honest with you, as far as the wide receivers go. So I think for the Niners, they're on the clock now. This is essentially how is next season going to look with or without Debo? Because it comes down to if Debo leaves, Brandon Ayuk's now the number one receiver. Is Brandon Ayuk a number one guy?
Yeah, and you didn't make any change at the quarterback position, so what are you doing?
Yeah. So I don't know what you guys think if the Niners do make this trade before the draft, or if they wait until after the draft picks are done. It'd be interesting to see what happens, but it's a good time. The NFL finds a way to dominate the NBA playoffs, right? It's good too. They find a way to just draw all sorts of attention.
Well, the draft's coming up, so we're gonna get in that. That'll be happening too.
Jesus, the week-long draft where people are cheering for their draft picks, have no idea who the hell their team drafted. They're just doing backflips. Thanks a lot, alcohol. That's we drafted him. Yeah. Did you watch his games at all?
No, not really. Or they boo the crap out of the pick.
Exactly. Yeah. Turn around. That actually ain't too bad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk about some other news here. It's been a crazy week in sports topics, but another one coming out of San Francisco. Mike Tyson putting hands on someone on an airplane, barely getting in trouble for it. This is just a fascinating thing that happened this weekend. Now, I had this discussion with some people here, and I honestly don't mind it. Have you seen the video?
Yeah, I saw the video.
And so tell me, if somebody was probing you, bugging you, annoying the hell out of you, what are you doing in that position? Are you just going to sit there and just let this guy be in your ear all flight?
You know what, B? That's funny that you asked that, but I'm going to hit that from a different angle. What kind of person is going to annoy, probe, and get at Mike Tyson? Okay, that's what I want to know. Okay, so yeah, a normal person like me, I might have to live with that. I might say, hey, shut up or sit down or something. But what individual sees Mike Tyson, knows who Mike Tyson is, and is like, you know what? Mike, let me get your autograph. Come on, Mike. Just poking and prodding.
So here's the best part. Now the guy has a history of being in jail and shit like that. Like, he's got a criminal record. So he was asking for it. Like, dude, I tell people, when you can't be poking a fighter, an ex-fighter, an ex-guy who was sitting there beating people's ass up for a living.
Right.
He bit someone's ear off. Now you want to on a plane, the dude's minding his business. You remember, athletes are human beings. They are people like us. And now all of us poke the bear. And you kept poking, and then you start irritating the bear. That bear got up and was putting hands on him in an airplane. You're like, where's the air marshal? Dude, the air marshal's not getting it between Mike Tyson. The air marshal is going to be touching hands, too.
Mike Tyson is not a person like us. Let's get that out of the way. Come on now. He's not. Dude, I mean, you got to be a special individual to come at Mike Tyson. I mean, come on now. Like, let's be real. Like, yes, you're absolutely right. In a normal circumstance, a dude is with his family, trying to enjoy his family. You know, it could be any number of star athlete. And it's like, hey, leave the guy alone. He's just a regular dude. This is not a regular dude. This is Mike Tyson. He could knock you into your heritage. Like, you go back 1,000 years. He hit him so hard, he could have hit him and broke the whole plane. I mean,
dude, your ancestry, get hit by Mike Tyson.
Exactly.
Show you ancestry real quick.
Exactly. Yeah, 2023 and me. Because you don't have to be out
Man,
like a light.
the dude had some balls on him, but the matter of the fact that is, look, man, you can't be doing stuff to people like that.
Right.
Even just a regular human being, you don't know what they're capable of.
Right.
We all know what Mike Tyson's capable of, but you want that fame, you want that glam, and now you're all over the news. But you're an ex criminal, man, who just I wouldn't say criminal. He's been to jail, whatever the case.
I don't know what's wrong with him. He's fishing for a check. Let's just be real. I mean,
that he caught rights, and so that's the only thing he's getting out of all this here. So
did you see his homie next to him though? His friend who's like trying to stop Mike from hitting him. Like, no, Mike, no. Don't hit my friend.
He's joking. It doesn't matter. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Man. There was another funny thing that happened today. I mean, it's just been great. And my sister pointed this out today. This is a little baseball related here, but the Nationals and Giants were playing each other today, and the Nationals had a third baseman who just got called up supposedly. First Major League Baseball game in front of a stadium. You talk about getting the nerves. He ended up throwing up on the field today. Full chunks all over the place,
man, are you serious? Oh, that's rough,
you see a lot of athletes throw up. That nerve happens if you.
I've seen it.
You do get
those
It happened. If it may happen to some people. I'm not going to say who's been, but I played in a big game before. It was softball related. And got a little nervous. Was like, let me go relieve some stress here. But the fact that it just happens to a professional athlete again leads you to show that these guys are human. It was a big moment for him. His first Major League Baseball game. He decided to on the field. Can you imagine?
Man.
Throw up, having to touch the ball.
I mean, I'm just saying, man. That's the worst thing ever when it's like first moment, big moment, and you get up there and you just completely crap your pants, or in this case, you completely start just throwing up. So it's like I mean, kudos to the kid. I mean, you hate to see a moment kind of you have to have that be your first introductory moment to the league like that. And I hope that he's gonna get some telephone calls over the next 24 hours that are gonna both be supportive and are going to be not so supportive. So hopefully he gets through it and comes out all right on the other side of it.
What'd be worse is that he gets called down the next day saying go back to the
minors. Oh, that would be rough. Yes, you're right. Dang, that'd be bad. Yeah.
It was also fight week in the baseball world. Now you got to check this video out, and for everyone else who has to check it, there was a junior college game. I gotta look this.
Was it baseball?
Yeah, it was a junior college. Just put junior college pitcher tackles batter, and for those who don't know, this dude gets absolutely rocked. He gets a home run hit off of him. The batter's just circling the bases, just minding his own business, and then as he's coming around third, the pitcher comes full sprint and just spears dude like it was a football game as he halfway got around third, sparking a big ass fight in that there, and I was just like,
oh no, wait, hold on, don't do that.
Throw a better pitch, man. Oh, dude, it was just classic. Dude. It was one of the best tackles I've seen.
What?
Then we had a fight in a minor league game as well, and these guys are getting at it, man.
What's everybody so mad about? What the heck's going on?
It's post-COVID, man. Everybody's
I know.
Upset. But real quick, to just stay on baseball a little bit here, there was, about unwritten rules, right?
Yes. That's right. You buzz me, I buzz you. Yeah. Don't throw your bats.
No dunks in basketball the last 20 seconds when you're getting blown out by 30 points. There's all these
undercutting is another thing in basketball. A guy gets in the air, you can't undercut him or do a full hand shove while he's in any type of contact or like tough contact while a guy is airborne is a no.
Yeah. So my team, the Giants, have been supposedly breaking these unwritten rules in baseball here. They've been stealing bags up 10, and they're making a lot of teams mad. And I want to tell you, as a fan who hasn't seen his team fight in a long time, who hasn't been in a base brawl in a very long time, I'm enjoying this. This is where the the old generation needs to step away and let the new generation have their fun. The bottom line is if you're getting beat, you're getting beat. Take your L, live with it. If you don't want it to happen, don't let it happen.
Right.
Plain and simple. I don't think they're doing anything wrong in that aspect. They're playing the game. And that's what got them into that position. That's what gave them the big lead. Why stop it? Why would you stop what's working for you in any aspect?
Yeah.
There? And so for unwritten rules to say, oh, you can't be doing that. Where in the rule book does it say I can't steal with a 10-run lead in the ninth inning? There's no rule for that.
No.
They're playing like they're supposed to be playing. So
yeah, that's the old little league stuff. You know what I mean? It's you're there's a point minimum, and once you get over a certain level, it's kind of like, oh well, game's over, guys. It's they're winning 7-0. Let's stop the game. But of course, in the big leagues, there's no participation trophies. And let's be real. I mean, guys sign contracts that have stipulations, and some of those stipulations are stolen bases or home runs or RBIs or whatever. So you can't really fault a guy for going out there and trying to do his best. The same thing goes in basketball sometimes. But, you can't fault a guy for going out there and trying to do his best or get another base or whatever it is. You don't know, guys are trying to put food on their plate. They work at the sport that they do is their work. That's how they provide for their families. You can talk about, how they shouldn't do this or steal a bag or steal bases or whatever with being up so much. But at the end of the day, hey, man, they're getting paid to do a job. We can't tell them to stop doing their job because the other team's too piss poor to keep up with them. That's not their problem.
Exactly. Hey, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
If you were a fan going to a game, would you lay into the opposing team? Just give them a hard time?
You mean like the other fans that are there?
No. So say you were watching a game, right? And there was a player on the court you just didn't like.
Yeah,
you were letting him happen. And he heard you.
Yeah.
How would you feel? Like if he approached you and said, and responded to you, I mean, are you going there to razz the other team?
Yeah. I mean, no, dude. I've been to games. I've been to a couple of Laker games or more than a couple of Laker games, and yeah, dude. If there's somebody on the other team, I'll rag on my own players. I don't care if somebody on my team isn't playing well. I'm gonna talk mess about them. If there's somebody on the other team that I feel like needs to be, I can say, hey, dude, you suck. Or hey, man, you know what? I don't even know why you shooting. Why are you shooting? Put the ball down. Go. Or like if you're in the stands, be happy to tell another player that's terrible and say, hey, man, go on. Let him shoot because we know he's terrible. Yeah, go ahead and shoot the ball. Patrick Beverly, you suck. I don't like you. I mean, that's what it is. Leave him alone. You know what I mean? Hey, man, I spent the entire and I wasn't at the game. I wish I was. I spent the entire finals where the Celtics played the Lakers back in 2000 and I want to say 2010, 2011, that 2009, 2010 season, I think. No, excuse me. I think that was Orlando. It was the next season, 2011. Wishing and praying and hoping that Rondo would take every shot that he received. I mean, that's what a fan's supposed to do. You're supposed to be in there to give the other team a hard time. Then that doesn't mean, I know there's a line with certain things. You don't go talk. I'm not out there talking about people's families and stuff. I'm talking about the game. I'm talking about the basketball game. You're going to make fun of players based on the game of basketball. But I'm not going to be out there talking about, your mama and your daddy and your kids and all that stuff. I ain't doing all that because we're here to have a good time and play the game of basketball.
There was an ugly incident yesterday between Yankee fans, and this will lead to how we end our night here, but Yankee fans and the Cleveland Guardians. Yankee fans are letting the Cleveland Guardian guy have it. And enough was enough. Earlier in the game, he climbs the fence and confronts one of the fans.
Yeah.
And then as the game ends, the Yankees went on a walk-off. They're celebrating. And the Yankee fans are letting the Cleveland Guardians guys have it again. And it's getting to the point where now enough is enough. And now trash is being thrown on the field from Yankee fans.
Yeah.
And the players having to defend themselves now. And I think there's got to be a line drawn. Like, professional players have to live up to this. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to, I can't do anything about it. But at the end of the day, this all led to the same discussion with Mike Tyson. You can only poke someone so much. You can only do stuff so much until you get the reaction. And it's unfortunate because professional athletes when they get the reaction, it's frowned upon.
Of course, right.
They're not supposed to. But at some point, they have to defend themselves. They got to defend. You don't know what they're saying. They could be talking, like you said, they could be talking about their mamas. They could be talking about something personal that's happened to them. So what are they supposed to do? Turn the other cheek? At some point, you have to address the matter. You're not going to let somebody walk over your own name, your own team, and what you've worked hard to get to where you're at. And I feel like that just is a bad look for the way sports allows fans to interact. Like you said, you can go to the game. You can, hey, dude, that's a terrible jump shot. They allow you in the league. Like, you can get to that point. But when you make it personal, expect a reaction and get the expectation that you're supposed to get. Right. I'm not surprised dude didn't jump into the stands and just start beating dude up.
Yeah.
And how are you gonna sit there and fault him and tell him, oh, you're not supposed to do that? If I'm sitting there and I'm jabbing your personal life for the next 15 to 20 minutes,
right,
I'm just supposed to let it go.
Yeah, and to a man, I mean, come on, let's keep it real. I mean, we're all individual people and we make our own individual choices, okay? What you're talking about is this whole internet, this is the internet tough, right? This is I can sort of hide in the crowd and say whatever I like. And I think people just, as you said, people just have to be real. You got to be accountable for yourself in all aspects of life. Just because you're sitting in the stands with somebody else doesn't mean all of a sudden you have free, it's a free for all. You can now say to another human being whatever you would like. And I think people think because athletes are making all of this money and all this that, you can speak to them any type of way. You can do this. And in my opinion, you need to have a little bit more respect for someone who is doing their job and doing it at a high level. Nobody's going to come to your job and throw pencils at the back of your head while you're sitting at your cubicle, going, you loser, this report is wrong. You missed the deadline. Boo. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't work like that in a normal situation. It only works whenever we're talking about sports. And I'm going to expand this out a little bit further. If you like sports, you need to have respect for the athletes that play it. I think sometimes we get away from the idea, we have this idea that these are privileged people, that they're overprivileged people. It doesn't matter what we do to them. It's not a big deal. But at the end of the day, if you really respect sports and you're really showing up to watch that sport, then you need to have some general respect for everybody that's playing it, because you need to understand what goes into it. It's just like watching all of these 350-pound sports analysts on television talk down to athletes or talk about athletes. Those people don't play basketball, obviously, okay? They don't play the sport. Just like you as a fan don't play the sport. There's no way if I handed you a bat and you went down there, you were going to be able to hit a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. So have some general respect for the sport if you think you like the sport. That means you have to have a general respect for the players too. So I think people just need to get some perspective and keep that in mind. Don't go out there calling these dudes names and all that. You can't do what they do. Matter of fact, if they put you out there and you try to do it, not only would you lose the one-on-one boxing fight against them because they're going to come and kick your ass, but you also can't even play the position on the field that they're playing. So you don't have you don't have anything to stand on. So again, like I said, get some perspective. If you enjoy the game that you love, respect the players that play it, because without them, it doesn't exist. It's that simple.
Yeah, it's that simple. And you can go out and have a good time. Yeah, you could definitely you could provide some heat to a player. Yeah,
but throwing things come on, man.
You draw that. It gets too much. It just gets too much of that line there. But in any case,
yeah, I think
top 5.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Ooh, well, I'm gonna let you go because I don't have 5. I only got like 3. Okay, but
so we've been trying to do this, and now we're after all this, everything that's taken place this week, top 5 worst fan bases in sports. And
you're gonna hit me. You're gonna hit me. Come on, I know it's coming. Come on. No. Nah.
I'm gonna start with the college team first. The top 5, number 5 goes to the Oregon Ducks.
Oh my God, that's college.
The University of Oregon is. I know. So I'm only saying this because
I knew that's where that was coming from. I'm like, wait a minute.
I never went to school, but I've been to a lot of Stanford football games where there's a lot of Oregon Duck fans, and man, do they think they own the fucking place. I cannot stand them. It's just it's like even their fans are like they're still living in a college town. It's just unreal. I'm like, God, I don't want to throw my food because I paid money to eat it, but I cannot stand you guys. They're not as bad. They're bad, but that's why they're at my top 5. Number 4, the entire sports town of Boston, from Reds to the Yankees to the Celtics,
Boston.
and even to that dumbass hockey team they got out there. I cannot stand any of them.
Yeah, man, I gotta agree with you on that. Celtics fans are rough. You know, everything's all about the Patriots and all about the Boston Celtics. Yeah, the Boston Celtics are great. You know, they try to make it come across as though it's kind of this nitty gritty type of atmosphere and all that blah 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 blah. Versus, of course, my Lakers, who are, you know, sparkles, glitz, and glamour in Hollywood. But you know, at the end of the day, they're both two very great franchises with a lot of championships. But I would just ask that they please calm it down. It's not. It really isn't that. It really isn't that serious. You won all of your championships back in the 1915, 1800s, I want to say. And then the rest of the championships they won were on the back of Larry Bird and the very old wheelchair. I guess I can't really talk about wheelchair teams anymore. But the very old wheelchair, Paul Pierce team that won a championship. Just one. They won one championship. So, you know, I just want to point that out, you know.
That sounded like some Lakers.
Oh yeah, very very holier than thou group of people, and I understand why. You know, well, the historic Boston Garden, and you know, it's just, you know, it's it's just too. Bro, it's too much, man.
I watched the Warriors when they played at the Boston Garden the year after their first title, and that was.
Fix your floor, it squeaks. Fix your floor, it's old. Fix it, squeaks. Do something different. You know. Switch it up like everybody else.
Who's number 3 for me? Number 3 for me. The Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, the Cowboys. America's team.
You know what? I'll put it like this. When the only thing that you have to go off of is 5 titles, I'm not gonna mention Niner fans because that's gonna spark just a ginormous debate here. But I'm just gonna start with the Cowboys here. They live off 1995.
Yeah, the 90s, yeah.
The 90s. And then they get so much hype around a team that hasn't done anything. When was the last time the Cowboys were in the NFC Championship game?
When cocaine was on planes.
And Cowboy fans just let it be known, dude. It's just like, gosh, shut the hell up. You guys haven't done
crap in a long no.
You guys haven't.
Shit, I mean,
man, just shut up.
The last opportunity they had was Tony exactly
dropping
Tony Romo. Yes.
You know, Jesus, like, good God, man, I can't stand Cowboy fans. They're the worst.
Well, I mean, it's the whole America's team that gets me. I mean, I don't know who decided that, and they go painting.
Who made that?
Pointing big because they're in Texas. They put big stars on everything, and it's just really it's unnecessary. You know, the giant stadium to come and watch a okay team. And I'll give them credit. These past couple of seasons with Dak Prescott, they've been okay. But there isn't anything about the history of the team that makes you want to go like, oh yeah, the Cowboys. They're such a. I mean, not really. I mean, you know, even as a Raider fan, being able to, you know, I'm from Oakland. And having them be in Oakland and all the esteem that comes with the great John Madden and that comes with, you know, those the historic teams. There really is some history there that you can really sink your teeth into. That's in video games. That's in hip hop culture. That's in everywhere. The Raiders are everywhere. You know, you don't have to just be from this area to be appreciative of the Raiders and the Raider culture. The Cowboys, on the other hand, I mean, I don't mean to be rude, but it's just like a bunch of guys with cowboy hats on for no reason. I mean, you know, it's just, you know, it's like for what? You're not really riding a horse, are you? Are you? No, you're not. But anyway, moving on.
Number 2. Who do I got? Oh, you can like
one?
This one.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna stop you right now. I'll tell you exactly why you don't like the Laker fans. I'll tell you right now, and I'll tell you why you're also kind of wrong. But we'll start with why. Number one, we are the most entitled fan base that the world has ever seen. Our team should and will win a championship every single season. We can do no wrong. And that's how Lakers fans have. And if you ever try to come to me and try to argue with me about my franchise, you know what I'm going to say? We won 17 championships. What has your team done? And that's always going to be where the conversation ultimately ends.
You sounded like a Yankee fan right now, because a Yankee fan was saying, "Oh, we won."
That's right. Hey.
Is that what we hang our hat?
Yeah. Hey, that's how Laker fans are, man. We're tough to take, man, because we are all about the Lakers every day, all day. Now, we'll crap on our team too. Don't get me wrong. You know, with Laker fans, we'll crap on our own team too. We'll get at our own team. Don't think that we're, holier than thou. We'll definitely crap on our own team a little bit, but we're not going to let outside fan bases especially who are in California, try to raise up and act like they're doing something. Sacramento Kings, Warriors. Yeah, we don't, I almost forgot about the Clippers, but it's okay. They're not really a team anyway. They're just a little sister. Yeah.
Number one team with the worst fan base in my eyes, the Los Angeles Dodgers. I cannot stand them. I mean, you've heard my take on Dodger fans. I absolutely hate them. Dude, I can't even think about it right now. I hope they all choke on Dodger dogs every time they fucking eat.
You stupid, man.
It's just, dude, they root for their team. They show up in the third inning of a baseball game at home. They leave by the seventh inning so they can make it home. They pay hundreds of dollars just to watch 4 innings of baseball, and then they're out. You know?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, just like when a championship brings fans, they are the worst to come out of rocks and every other hiding crevices in this earth. They're just the worst, man. I can't stand it. I can't.
Oh, man.
But the problem is it makes my rivalry as a Giants fan with them that much better. And I can see my cousin's boyfriend right now commenting on this right now because he's a Dodger fan.
Oh, man. Hey, man. Hey, I don't mean to poke fun, but I've been to a few Giants games. Y'all got some wine and dine going on there too now. Don't get me wrong. Y'all got some uppity folk at that stadium. I've been to that stadium.
Look, I'm gonna hate on my own team right now because that's what you get when you build a stadium like that, and their food options, half of it is vegan.
Hey.
That stuff, I want garlic fries.
Hey.
I want a mustard, sauerkraut, and all that stuff. I want my cholesterol level to blow through the roof by the time I leave that game. I don't want a cauliflower pizza, whatever the hell they're serving in some of these areas.
It's bougie up in there, man. It's bougie.
Right, that is bougie.
It's bougie as hell. They got a kid center where the kids can go play and shit. Well, why aren't the kids watching the damn game? Come on now.
Watch games. That's what I'm saying is that at least they make it for something. Tell me you've seen a 5-year-old sit in their seat for 9 innings and go, that was a great game. You lose his attention the minute you walk through the turnstiles.
You walk them to the bathroom. You know what you do. You get them by the hand. You take them to the bathroom. That's what you got to do anyway. You walk them around the circle and you bring them back. And you got to do that at least 3 to 4 times. There's no other way to get around it. That's how it's got to go, man. That's how it's got to go. Hey, but look, it's all about appreciating, right? When I was a kid, I used to go to A's games all the time, man. And my favorite thing about it was it's all about the snacks, bro. You go in, you get your popcorn, you get your peanuts, you get your hot dog, and you enjoy watching the game. So for kids, I've taken my kids. My kids have gone to a few Oakland A's games. It's all about the snacks. You get them the right smacks at the right times. Hey, they'll sit there. They'll sit there.
Speaking of Oakland A's games, bro, their opening day attendance 3,000 people.
Look, this is a Oakland thing, and I'm gonna speak on this very briefly. They need to figure that stadium problem out. They've been talking about the at the Howard Terminal for the past 5 to 10 years now, and they haven't been able to make anything happen. Oakland as a city is piss poor and can't figure out. They're piss poor in judgment when it comes to sports teams. They've already lost the Raiders. They haven't done a great job of taking all of this extra money that Oakland has been making from everybody coming from the peninsula over to Oakland, buying homes. Do you know how much it costs to buy a house in Oakland now? It's like $800,000, man. If you want to live in the hood, it still costs you $600,000, $700,000. There's money in the town. It's just not going to the right places, and I really wish they would have not let the Raiders go and watch. We're just watching the Coliseum deteriorate, and it's terrible, man. It's terrible. And so the infrastructure was there. The stadium was right next to the freeway. Oakland never did anything about the surrounding territory to make it more appealing for people to come and watch games. And that's where we're at right now. Now there's these promises of a new stadium that will never happen, that they can't get to go because you're going to have people with picket signs going, don't break the grounds, because, they're, you're going to kill a puppy or something. I don't fucking know, man. But anyway, one of the rocks from the thing, there's a lot of talk about that in the city about, about people not wanting to have a stadium there. And I think it's ridiculous. I think they need to do what they can to keep sports franchises in cities because they help provide jobs for people, especially if you come from a low income area. There's a lot of people that used to work for the Raiders, man. A lot of people used to work in that stadium and do Raiders games, and then people ain't got jobs now. So, I poo-poo on Oakland for not getting that stuff done, man. And I hope they figure it out. Otherwise, the A's going to be in Vegas next year like everybody else.
Yep. All right. I know you don't have a top 5, but give me
the Denver Broncos. 3. Okay? as a Raider fan, I don't appreciate the Denver Broncos and they stank Mile High Stadium and all that stuff. I don't appreciate them putting batteries and snowballs and throwing them at Raider players. I don't like them. Okay? I know KC is another one where it's difficult, but I understand KC. Okay? Kansas City is a longtime rival with the Raiders, but I'll never forget that, man. I'll never forget them throwing stuff. Guys were about to go in stands trying to go beat people up. I don't appreciate them, man. They doing too much. I don't like the Denver Broncos and their fans. I don't like the Celtics fans. They get on my nerves because they, obviously I'm a Laker fan and they think they stuff don't stink and we think our stuff don't stink. So we just don't get along.
Just makes for a perfect rivalry.
Oh yeah, man. Perfect rivalry. And man. And it's just terrible, man. Oh, you know what else I don't like? And we'll next time this is what we'll do. Worst color analyst that you know of. Worst color analyst. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go do some homework and we gonna find it because dude in Cleveland, I don't know his name, but the one for the Cavaliers, I hate that dude. He's terrible, man. And by the way, while I'm on the subject, and we'll cover this another time, but the one thing I'll say about the Warriors have the best analyst team there is, or they did. I don't know about your new boy that's in there now, Azubuike, but as far as you guys had one of the best radio and television teams that I had ever seen, man. So
the Bay Area has some of the best radio and TV broadcasters, but as of right now, Bob Fitzgerald and Kalena Azubuike sometimes get underneath my skin so much. I'm like, I'm muting this thing.
Bring Barnett back, man.
On the Rainbow side, Tim Roy's the
best, man.
I love listening
to
him
Roy's
talk
the best.
And Jim Barnett, who used to be on TV, provides that basketball aspect here. But even their pre- and post-game live, with that as well, they do a really good job of that there. And the Giants also still have the best announcers because they keep the game engaged. If you've never listened to a Giants broadcasted game, listen to it. Yeah. Baseball is a very slow game, but they do a very good job keeping you engaged here. But yes, top 5 color analysts, worst of all time. That will be a great list next week. So just to get into some of the comments here, where are the Seattle Seahawks and not being in the top 5 worst fan base? They're there. I think if you're
that's more of a personal. And here's why. I'll tell you why. I would say they are. I think you definitely get some of that entitlement rubbing off. But when you really sit down and think about it, how bad have they been and for how long? They really only won one Super Bowl? I mean, they're not really a team that you go and you think about. A long-standing fan base, right? I mean, come on. They're the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, they'll fade back into oblivion like they did 10, 15 years ago, man.
I'll tell you this, though. When they're bad, they get some really good nicknames like the Seacocks, the Sea Chickens. They get some really good nicknames when they're bad. But
Yeah,
man,
but I
people
mean,
hate
people forget the Seahawks were in the AFC West.
yeah,
Well,
before they moved
yeah,
to the
they
NFC.
were with the Raiders and everything. They were trash forever, dude. They were always garbage before they went over the NFC. I don't have any real. I guess because I'm not a Niner fan, I don't really get to see them as much. But from my perspective as a Red, they garbage, man. They've always been garbage. Their fan base is not a fan base.
Can't stand man. I don't think anybody can.
Who's that?
Boy,
Which one?
oh, it's my sister. Can't stand the 12th man. I would hate it too when they were screaming in my ear all the
Oh,
time.
yeah, whatever. It's
Rams fans are low lives as well. Good God, I think this chat room is really Niner based.
wait, who?
It's half the
I didn't hear that.
Rams fans are low life as
No,
well.
I don't think
It's
any.
like
There are no Rams fans. What was that? That the Rams fans that just started like a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that started actually in February.
Yeah, they were in St. Louis like 4 or 5 years ago, so they don't really have a fan base. I don't think. They don't have a. Come on, man. They ain't got no fan base.
My uncle had a great time here. There's too much controversy here. I'm going to Buffalo Wild Wings and watching Tiger Woods reruns.
Tiger Woods
rerun.
Nothing wrong with
here.
that.
But hey, just to end the night, Pelicans with a 118-103
Uh-oh.
win. Series tied 2. This is going to get interesting this week. We're going to see a lot of series coming to an end this week, so we're going to have another big show for us on Sunday. The first round is going to be coming to an end this week, and we'll be looking forward to the second round, and we'll see if our picks have matched up well with each other. So I don't know.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it.
Week.
I'm looking forward to the rest of the NBA playoff game, so I'm definitely gonna have my eye. If the Brooklyn Nets get swept, we will definitely be talking about that. That's gonna be nasty. And then I guess I'll go back to watching these stupid BR freaking notifications I get that show LeBron partying in Cancun and pretending like he's doing something. I don't really give a crap. I want him to go and I don't want to see his face anymore. I don't want to see any Lakers, anybody, unless they're announcing who the new coach is, unless we're talking about the NBA draft. I don't want to hear anything from anyone. Seriously, like I'm so fed up with the offseason crap. LeBron talking about he wants to play with Steph Curry and get out of here, man. Did he not participate in the season I just watched? That was dog crap. That was the worst. Was one of the worst Lakers seasons I have ever seen. I'd rather go watch Lonzo Ball, Larry Nance Jr., Kyle Kuzma, Brandon Ingram. I'd rather see that team 3 times over than watch this garbage we watched with LeBron putting up 37 points a game for a team that's 15 games under 500. Made no sense at all. It's terrible. So, Bron, if you can hear me, man, you're a great dude, but please don't try not to post any more photos. We don't want to see how good your life is. Just call me when you're back in the gym in August and the preseason's about to start, please.
Hey, just to make your pain even worse, Brandon Ingram went for 30 points.
I knew Brandon was going to be good whenever we drafted him.
Valanciunas dropped 26 at the center position tonight. That's what I won the game. So.
Oh man.
But hey, man. Well, good night, everyone. If you guys like to make a comment or anything, let us know what your top 5 worst fan bases are. Where do you think Devo ends up? Is he stay a 49er or does he end up with another team? My question to you, America, and especially all my Warrior fans out there, with all the injuries, especially to the Phoenix Suns and Memphis not playing as a number 2.
Here we go.
Are the Warriors the clear?
I knew that was coming.
Are they win the West? Don't think of today's game either. Don't think about it. But what you've seen from the Warriors, are they the team to beat now with all the injuries that are starting to pile up in these playoffs here? So that'll be discussed next Sunday, my brother.
All right, you have a good night too. Peace.
Peace.